Welcome to HumberLaunchPad 2015. I'm your host, Nick Cirillo. It was back in 2012 that Humber decided to come up with a way to engage its students in economic development. The result? An annual contest called the Friendly Fire Pitch Competition, later renamed to HumberLaunchPad. And every year since then, we've been giving our chance to win a piece of $40,000. And this year we're back, doing it all over again. Let's meet our judges.
I'd like to see enthusiasm. I think one of the great attributes of any entrepreneur is to be enthusiastic about the product or service that they're selling.
I'm expecting to see entrepreneurs with innovative ideas, but most importantly, the revenue and the profit plan, generation plan for the ventures, which is very important.
I want to understand whether or not they have commitment for what they're doing, and the other thing is I want to see if they're really being realistic about what the future really entails for them.
I'm expecting to see a lot of great ideas, a lot of innovation, a lot of students that are prepared and motivated to grow their business.
They have to be investing in themselves.
So I think ultimately what I want to see is scalability. Does this company have potential for growth? If it doesn't have that potential, then I'm not interested.
They provide a platform that allows collectors to connect, to buy, sell, trade, and discover some items. But there's one man who's hoping to collect on some cash himself. From the Collectors Inc., please welcome James Taylor.
Collecting is in my blood, and as a family, we have many collectible assets. So I thought to myself, how can I focus on my passion of collectibles?
My name is James Taylor, and I'm the creator of a corporation called the Collectors Inc. I come from a family of collectors. We have actually a rich history, dates back to 405 AD. I've been successful selling it to the University of Windsor, attaining a grant there, and I'm just looking to get some more capital to start this website. Judges, have you ever collected or inherited anything? If not, chances are you know someone who does or has, right? But what to do with these items? See, I'm passionate about collectibles. We can help. With over 20 years experience and over $200,000 worth of collectible assets, I'm the creator of a corporation called the Collectors Inc., an e-commerce website and television series based around all things collectible. The website is a mashup of eBay minus the fees, listing fees, Kijiji, and Facebook. Being free to join, users are provided the most liquid form of their collectible assets. Unfortunately, we've gone through 3 separate developers and a coding company. None could deliver. Luckily, through HumberLaunch, we were introduced to a developer who can create the site, but says it will cost between $15,000 to $20,000. Now, we have earned revenue to this point through sales and through the photographing and databasing of client collectibles. We will be selling B2B, B2C, C2B, and C2C, proving that it's a highly lucrative business. Thanks to the leads that we've built up over the last 2.5 years of development, we are forecasted to enter into the market with over $500,000 worth of assets, and thousands of listings. So the proof of concept and the market validity are there. We just need the site up and running to list our currently databased inventory and fulfill the demand. Thank you.
Can you explain what your economic model is how your business is going to make money?
Sure, yeah, there's actually 14 different streams of revenue. Just to name a few, we'll be making money through consignment. So we'll charge 7%, eBay charges 10%. So we're trying to undercut, but we're not going to charge any of the listing fees that eBay charges. We're just keeping a simple pricing structure. I'm a customer myself, so I tend to think I know what I want, right? So keeping it fair and cheap in terms of final value fee, I think will be a big bonus for us. We will also make money through consignment, through taking percentages of appraisals. So the way appraisals work is the appraisers will all be on site. They can choose whatever amount that they would like to charge. We would then take a percentage of it. Through restorations as well, through banner ads, through pay-per-click ads, through marketing other companies and businesses, ma and pa stores on our site. Just those are the ones that come to mind right now.
Have you tested the strategy?
Yes, well, I've sold, so I know that selling is feasible, definitely. I've sold through eBay and Kijiji, both of them. And We have earned revenue actually through the photographing and databasing of collectibles. So that's another market that we can reach, right? Those who are not really tech savvy, we can then go out and help them. So yeah, the model works, right? We definitely have the core competencies and resources and capabilities to enter into the market and be successful.
So eBay and the like are monstrous, and they
Yes.
have a massive user base. And I don't know that the user base would necessarily look at consignment rates, because they're going to want to try to find the biggest audience possible that's going to bid on their goods.
Definitely.
So why would they choose your site when there would be fewer people to sell to?
Okay. Well, we have a lot of innovative factors offering us a competitive advantage. Just to name a few, the listings will be free for life, with no listing time or quantity. So eBay has a limit to their listings. So does Kijiji. Your listing gets pushed back in line. We won't have any of that. We want to keep it very simple, easy to use. We offer trading and consignment, right? Classifieds, blogs, collectible news, charitable donations, appraisals from certified professionals, and restorations. So I think we have enough differentiative factors offering us a competitive advantage for sure.
You mentioned $500,000 in assets that you currently own or you
Yeah.
have within the network. For how long have you been in business so far as selling, and how much revenue do you currently have?
Well, I joined eBay back in, I guess it was 2001, 2000, if I remember correctly. So I've been selling for years. I've been trading for years. Since I was 10 years old, actually, I've been in the collectibles business and just got lucky, bought low and ready to sell high. And I'm sorry, can you repeat?
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a sense of in general, the structure and how long.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks.
With the resurrection of vinyl, it's no wonder our next team wants to turn back the hands of time on music and give an old school flavor to some fresh new hits. Hoping to go out with a bang, please welcome Possible Dynamite featuring Mike Matheson.
My name is Mike Matheson, co-founder with Danielle Basils. We are Possibly with Dynamite. Basically, we are a niche audio recording and production company that specializes in vintage audio production. We've always, since growing up, always listened to watched old movies from the 40s and 50s, listened to radio broadcasts of music from the 30s and 40s. The model we're working with is a proven model. So one thing I know that judges are always concerned about is whether the business is actually viable or not. And there are other businesses in different parts of the world operating under the same model as we are, and so we are able to prove its success. Hi, my name is Mike Matheson, co-founder and head engineer for Possibly with Dynamite. We are a niche audio recording and production company that specializes in vintage audio production. So basically, by using mid-century recording equipment and techniques, we are able to authentically recreate the sonic character found in old recordings from the 1930s through 60s. So artists will come in, they'll be able to sing through the same mics as Sinatra, play the same kind of drums as Ringo Starr, and all of it recorded through the same analog equipment they would have used back in the day. So far, we've been growing as a small mixing and overdub studio, earning over $13,000 in the last 3 months. My co-founder and I, we're both very active members in the Toronto music community, where there is a growing trend amongst artists for this particular era of vintage sound quality. Currently, however, there are no other studios in the GTA that specialize in this sound or offer it affordably. We will actually be the first to launch with an exclusively vintage specialization. Now, by specializing, there's a number of advantages we have over our competitors. We have much more condensed and focused setup, so we have significantly reduced cost. We have a much more affordable pricing, a much more unique sound offering, as well as capabilities for remote recording. There's a studio in LA right now called PAX AM Studios that's been operating very successfully for the last 11 years under this exact vintage model. So we know there's a demand for it, we know it's a viable model, and we're certain we have the skills necessary to deliver it.
Thank you.
So where do you get the equipment and how do you maintain it? Because if this stuff is 50 years old, it's going to break down a lot. So what do you do about that?
We don't typically find it in stores, and eBay is not a reliable place to find it. The most reliable place to get the equipment is from technicians themselves. A lot of times, if people have the modules, the preamps or mics or whatever, they'll sell them to technicians at a lower price. They restore them, they recap capacitors, and so they make it usable in modern in studios today. So I have different technicians that I use personally, like one for microphones. There's a guy in Ohio who I use for preamps, and a guy in Britain who I use for ribbon mics, and they are the most reliable source to get them from. Because then you can also, if anything does happen, they will service it for you.
Your clientele, is it industrial or is it consumer driven?
Consumer driven for the most part, yeah. Our biggest market is towards artists and musicians, even particularly those with influence and backgrounds in old jazz, swing, old early rock and roll, R&B. We can also get a market in with voiceover artists and TV, film producers who are looking to emulate the sound of old animations or film sets.
So are they established artists or up-and-coming artists?
It could be either. For the established artists, since we're the only ones currently in Toronto creating the sound, we would be their go-to. And since we are also a much more affordable, have much more affordable rates than other larger studios, we are also a primary choice even for up-and-coming artists.
What will you do with the funding? How much funding are you looking for to grow this, and what would you do with the funding, and what's the target revenue you plan for in the coming 2 years?
We are asking for $15,000. It'll go towards equipment, so we can build this and remodel our studio into this kind of vintage recording playground. So you said a revenue model?
And the revenue, how much revenue do you anticipate from the market within the coming 2 years?
Well, revenue, our primary revenue source, in which we're going to focus on primarily, is time-based. So we're looking at $50 an hour, or up to $500 a day. Okay. If we can fill 4 days a week, it's a fairly sustainable rate. After that, we're looking to extend scalability. Mm-hmm. There's a number of ways of doing that. One way is something we would call an analog fattening service. Yep. It's basically for musicians and artists who they create their music purely in computers. Then we are able to process their stereo tracks through our equipment and send it back. And that doesn't really have any time restriction on our part.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
By providing a platform that allows for people to connect with gigs in their field of expertise, Gig is helping to give people their 15 minutes of fame. Our next presenter is going to get their own 15 minutes to shine. From Gig, please welcome Christina Fursick.
My name is Christina Fursick, and the organization is called Gig. I found that there were no effective resources that were being used to help me apply for these jobs and also help businesses connect with people that are seeking gigs. Gig will be the first mobile application that serves the purpose of connecting employers to gig seekers. Hello.
Hi.
So my name is Christina, and I'm here representing Gig. There are plenty of sites that do a great job at helping people find careers. Gig, however, is different. Gig is a website and mobile application designed to help individuals and businesses offering gigs connect to those seeking them. A gig is considered a one-time, part-time, seasonal, or event-based employment opportunity, generally focused in markets that have a high turnover rate, such as hospitality industry, food and beverage, entertainment, and the nightlife industry. Upon conducting market research and using insight from my own experience as a bartender for the last 5 years, my partner and I were inspired to create a platform that would help businesses connect with new candidates that are seeking gig jobs. The current resources that are being used, such as Kijiji and Craigslist, pose huge privacy issues when gig seekers are sending personal information to anonymous sources. And it's also super inconvenient for the employers because they're often overwhelmed with applicants that are not qualified for gig jobs. So we solve that problem by integrating social features into our platform and also providing filter criteria that the employer can use to easily sort through candidates to find people quickly and fill these positions very quickly. Our revenue model focuses on the employer, so we do have a free limited feature version for the employer, and then we also have a pro and premium account, and then for the gig seeker, it's completely free to use. Gig is currently in development and is set to launch in summer 2015. So I'll open up the floor if you have any questions now regarding the business.
So do the employers, do they pay you a fee to sign on?
Yeah, so like I said, we have a limited feature-free version, which allows them to post X amount of times per month, and it also allows them to use certain filter criteria to easily sort through the applicants that apply through this application. And then we also have a pro and premium account, which gives them access to more filtering criteria, allows them to assess the social media reach of the applicants, and do a few other things that are really valuable to fill those positions quickly and conveniently.
So this is web-based. Do you restrict your geographic area? Or are you looking at this as a global potential business?
So we're definitely looking at Canadian expansion first. I myself have a lot of notable connections within Toronto that I've established simply as being a bartender for the last 5 years. And as well too, I'm a part of a few Facebook groups which will really help us reach the target audience of brand ambassadors and experiential marketing positions that are posted there. In terms of global expansion, definitely see the potential for it because there's currently no other resource like Gig on the market for this young pool of talented employers and employees.
If you have $1 million, what would you do in the coming 2 years or 3 years as a funding?
If I had $1 million to spend on the business? So obviously the first thing is the development and making sure that that is functioning on all platforms, so Google, iOS, Android, and also making it available on the website for employers to manage the gigs that they post, as well to pushing it to market, so going after targeted sponsored advertising on social media sites, really pushing it out to that young demographic, and doing some sponsored events as well, so that we show up to the places where employers and gig seekers are. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, do you have revenue now?
No, it's in development, so we currently do not have revenue. We've just solidified the model, and we're pretty pleased with it.
So what's your scale then? I mean, do you have a sales force in place that's going to help you expand? What is your plan for taking this beyond Toronto borders or even Canadian borders where you say you've got some connections?
Sure. So again, our plan first is to expand organically and locally and making sure that we dominate all the major university college towns, major cities, first within Ontario. And again, we're going to do that by pushing sponsored advertising and hopefully with the help of funds that we receive through HumberLaunch, we're going to be able to do that. And as well, too, going to networking events, using my own personal networks to do so, just really pushing it out to that young demographic through word of mouth. And since it will work so well for the employer, and there's currently no resource that does what we do, we're really hitting that marketplace of those one-time, part-time jobs that are avoided by career sites. We're going to be able to quickly spread like wildfire to the people who need a resource like this.
So there's only 15 seconds. If there's no other thing like this, why is that? How do you know, based on any market research, that there's actually a market for these kinds of jobs?
Sure, yeah. Again, I myself have been an avid gig seeker for the last 5 years. I have so many other commitments, such as school, so I'm always looking for employment opportunities that have a low commitment rate. So just knowing that and being a gig seeker myself, I've been able to determine that there are no effective resources, and doing that market research and really analyzing with the employers that I've established relationships with, asking them what are your pain points and what can we do to solve this. We were able to really finalize our model and put together a product that I think will be really useful for them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
DSIC is a music scoring company located in Toronto that allows indie developers for video games and movies to score a soundtrack at an affordable rate. Hoping to hit all the right notes with our judges, from DSIC Music, here's Daniel Sakura.
My name is Daniel Sakura, and my business is called DSIC Music. DSIC Music provides custom, high-quality music scoring for independent filmmakers and video game developers. What makes my company unique is I have access to both the high-end sample libraries and professional musicians, which is something you don't typically see with less established composers. So a month ago, I was speaking with a filmmaker who I was also working with on a project, and he told me that up to 60% of the time, In a film festival submission, it will get rejected if the audio or the music is not up to par. My name is Daniel Sakura, and my business DSIC Music combines both high-end sample libraries and professional musicians to produce custom, high-quality music scoring solutions for independent filmmakers and video game developers looking for that blockbuster-level emotion without the blockbuster-level price. Now, DSIC Music has been proven successfully as a business by demonstrating market potential, customers, and competitive knowledge, winning $10,000 at Humber's new venture seed fund, and now has a list of clients and projects that is growing. So I've taken this business from student projects to a mobile video game to an independent short, a feature film, and I'm now in talks with working on a documentary. And the customers are starting to come back to the business with a larger appetite for the emotion that DSIC Music provides. Now, the business offers custom scoring priced from $95 to $195 per minute, and in the past 2 months, the business has generated $1,380 with a first-year gross forecast of $20,342. Front-end and back-end deals, along with reuse fees and royalties, will be sources of income. I'm seeking $12,000 primarily for the purchase of a high-performance computer, which will be used to take on larger and short turnaround projects that come in the door tomorrow and in the next 3 to 5 years.
Thank you.
So how do you prove that your music's up to snuff? If 60% of films with music get rejected because the music's not up to par, how do you know that yours is good enough?
The way I see it is I have the background in recording, in the composition. I've won the Arranging Award last year at Humber. 8 years playing bass, 5 playing piano, a number of years composing. I have access to those musicians and sample libraries that can produce the high quality sound. It's not just me going over to a friend's house and recording things through my laptop. I have professionally invested in this to the quality that is necessary.
And do you have any proof of that?
I do. The last client I worked with, a director in Oklahoma, he was telling me how much he loved the music, how he thinks it's really adding value to his film, and he's looking forward with working with me again in the spring on another film.
So why would somebody come to you versus what's out there today?
So typically, people want that Hollywood grandioso sound, but instead of going for the less established composers, the difference that makes me more beneficial is I have that combination of high-end sample libraries worth thousands of dollars and the access to the professional musicians, which is something you don't typically see with less established composers. And in terms of rates, if I can, in terms of rates, I'm 1.5 to 2 times more expensive than the less established composer, but compared to the established composers, I'm 2 to 3 times cheaper, and those are the ones working on film and TV regularly.
So do you think this is a business for Toronto, Canada? Do you think the market is outside Canada? Like where do you see yourself succeeding better?
So right now my primary focus is in Ontario, Toronto. That takes, according to the Screen Composers Guild of Canada, about 56% of the total composing revenues annually.
So this new computer that you want to buy, what will it do exactly? How will it take you above and beyond where you're at currently?
Right. So this new computer will have a lot of faster processors, which will allow me to not only use more instrument counts in the project, it'll also allow me to export files faster. So for example, the last 15-minute film I worked on, it took about 2 hours to export 20 files. Times this to a 2-hour film with maybe 40 files, this could save me a day to a day and a half of work per project.
So do you have a marketing strategy?
I do. I've just finished my recording project at Humber. That's going to be used as a demo reel. And also I'm going into like the local homegrown things like Rain Dance Toronto. The first meeting that I'm attending is on Wednesday, and I hope to network with a lot of filmmakers in the area.
So this sounds an awful lot like a sort of self-employed type of business. How do you scale this when you are, the person that's mostly the creative force behind this? How could you take on 10, 15, 20, 30 projects at a time?
The way I would do this I would get as many projects as I could until I can't do any more, and then I would start to hire on people. Ideally, I could see this as a business where I have 4 to 5 employees handling 10 films, for instance, video games, and that sort of thing in the future.
You have plans to use social media to get or web to get more business, or are you depending on word of mouth?
Word of mouth is a very important feature in this industry, but also like Newgrounds, for example, game development, communities, that kind of thing online, that's going to be a strong role as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rent for Students is a service that serves international and off-campus students with unpleasant living conditions. They provide a fun, enjoyable, and safe living condition. From Rent for Students, please welcome Ross, Hussain, and Savio.
We're Rent for Students. My name is Ross, Hussain, and Savio. And the purpose of our Rent for Students is to provide students with an easier way to find rental using a matching system. As an international student, when I came to Canada, I met a lot of problems with housing, and I was pretty stressed. So basically, I found that there are no services or applications available on the market for students to provide with a good living experience. And it basically resulted in some kind of the idea that we need to create something which will fix the problem.
So by creating Rent for Students, we're not only able to address this problem, but to create a place where students can interact with each other.
Hello everyone, my name is Hussain, this is Savio, and this is Ross, and we are the co-founders of Rent for Students. Did you know every year in HumberLaunch there's 1,300 students that can't find residence due to capacity shortage and are left without any guidance? Now take this number, multiply by 70, and you have 90,000 students starting their first year of post-secondary within Ontario. Rent for Students is a solution. We work closely with colleges and universities to offer a secure, modern, and reliable platform. Our search algorithm includes a matching component that allows users to find what they need fast within 3 clicks, which minimizes extra paperwork and legal issues. In addition, it's also a social hub where users can also communicate with each other, offering additional services. There's nothing like this in the market.
So websites such as Kijiji or other rental websites, they have very limited amount of locations and are often unreliable. We, Rent for Students, already have 50 locations within Humber month of rent compared to the other websites which charge 15 to 20%. We also offer pay-as-you-go advertising for the landlords and pay-as-you-go services also advertising for the businesses, local businesses, helping them promote their businesses. In addition, our vision is to expand our business not just within Humber, but to Ontario, to Canada, and often to the global market. With your investment, we will be able to purchase a server and expand our services by hiring a service engineer. Thank you for listening to our pitch, and we hope we'll answer any questions you have for.
Thank you.
Sorry.
How much funding are you looking for?
We're looking for, so $10,000 is just for the server itself, and then $4,000 to translate the service to multiple languages. And in addition to that, we'll need about $4,000 to $5,000 to hire a server engineer to do server testing and also to run our server itself.
And if you have that cash, how much revenue do you think you can generate within the coming year?
So like I said, we already have 50 housing landlords. So if we charge 10%, let's say $60 or $600 rent, we'll already have about $4,000, $3,000, $4,000 for just the first year. And also with the additional services we may offer, we may charge the students as a $1 as a pay-as-you-go service. So the additional service is not just the matching service, but we'll also offer, for example, banking service, mentorship services, legal services, or purchasing books, selling furniture. These are also additional services we can offer in charging for the membership. And for advertising, we can also charge pay-as-you-go. For example, if the landlord pays, if the landlord wants to have their search at the top of the list, we'll offer pay-as-you-go service for that, a monthly fee, or weekly fee, or daily fee. And for advertising for local businesses, we'll also offer that as well.
And also in addition of that, as we expand into different areas, we will hire locally. So therefore, let's say, for example, if we expand into Western in London, Ontario, we will actually recruit students from that specific school because this is serviced by students for students. And we know what is best for students. And we have a standardized method on how landlord becomes a member on our website to make sure that all students are protected and safe.
Why do you need a server? Why would you not just operate this in the cloud? Like, do you have the website set up already? And what sort of infrastructure do you have at the back end?
Yeah, so we have a website set up already, but the reason why we're not uploading to the cloud is because of security issues. So most of the data that's being saved within our server, only us and Humber or the local institution that we're working with will have access to it. And that will also be a safeguard for the landlords itself. They'll know it's only for students and not anybody can just join the server itself.
We are all about being secure and also reliable.
So do you have double screening from the landlord side and screening of the students?
So the way it works, for example, let's say we got the student side and also the landlord side. Each party has a component list of, let's say, 5 to 3 components that they say. Let's say parking, no smoking, and let's say free pets, okay? As soon as the matches are made, we actually push emails to each party recommending that these are something that you may need and to what you required as some sort of preference, right? So this basically makes an efficient and effective search for them and minimizes the time consumption, because usually it could take days for a student to find a placement. With our website, like I said, it's 3 clicks and you can find it fast.
What's the social hub aspect of this that you mentioned?
Social hub is basically, we want to create some kind of ecosystem for students, so students can communicate, rate places, because to achieve something reliable and safe and secure and trusted, we want to allow users, to allow students to rate the certain places and make suggestions. For example, this place is great for certain stuff, but like something can be changed and can be updated or just to be better. Yeah. And that's the kind of platform we want to develop, just allowing them to rate and to achieve the best service we can create, possibly create.
Okay, I think you guys are time out, but thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Loving Support Services is a company that focuses on elderly people and gives them companionship and care. Please welcome to the floor Kayla, Courtney, and Diane.
My name is Diane, and that's Courtney, and that's Kayla. And the company's name is Loving Support Services. We're a non-medical in-home care service that provides care for seniors.
Our inspiration is to be able to help as many seniors as we can within the GTA area. Basically, we differentiate ourselves by offering pet care, decluttering service, and a gardening program that our competitors don't do.
Canadian population is getting older. Baby boomers are starting to turn age 65. What does that mean? More retirement home, more money out of pocket, no beds, longer wait list, and more stress for families. But who wants to leave the comfort of their home? That's where we come in. Loving Support Service is a non-medical in-home care service for seniors. We provide families and seniors care plans, and they pay for the service that they want.
Yes, we do have competitors. The Loving Support difference is that we go beyond the expected and provide pet care, decluttering service, and have a gardening program along with the average home care. This year, we want to generate more healthcare publicity, continue branding ourselves, hire an employment lawyer, and build relationships to create referrals. With your help, Loving Support will continue to provide love and support to seniors across Canada. Thank you.
How many clients do you have right now?
As of right now, we have 2 permanent clients, and we have, 3 permanent clients, and then 1 off and on client.
And how many people is it just the 3 of you?
Yes. Well, we hire PSWs as well, but we're the administration side.
And have you had experience with community care access? Do you work with them?
No, we don't actually get subsidy from the community care. It's a vigorous process, like you have to be in business for 3 years, have like $500,000 of assets and so forth like that. So we're not affiliated with the CCAC, it's just private home care.
So if you got this money, what would you do with it?
Well, we're going to use it to basically, number 1 is for our referrals. We want to boost up getting more referrals. So attending home care events, like the caregiver show, the PSW conference shows. So we're able to go and develop more referrals from clients, as well as revamping our website, getting more SEO, and going to the old age centers where our target markets are and directly advertising with them.
I find that there's a bit of a disconnect between the service of the PSW and, a gardener and a declutterer. Can you talk about that and why you brought that piece in?
Yeah, so in regards to the pet care, basically we noticed that other companies don't they tell them to lock up their pets. So how we differentiate ourselves is we really want to make sure that if they do like pets, we want to make sure that the caregiver also likes pets, so it can match for our clients' needs. And with the gardening, if that's what they would like, then we'd match it with a caregiver that doesn't mind to do gardening. And for decluttering, I would go out and help them to do decluttering part.
So how do you find these caregivers? You know, you say you're a non-medical service. So how are they trained? How do you source them? And how do you decide what you're going to pay them?
Kelly, you want to answer?
So, basically, we do interviews and we make sure that they have their PSW certificate. So that means they went to school and they did all the trainings already.
So is there any need for training, and how do you decide what to pay them?
Well, the training would be that they need their PSW certificate, and then the ongoing training is to make sure that they have their first aid up to date, and they're always doing the actual job, so they're always getting updated in regards to that means, as well as whenever they drop off the care notes, we'd end up giving them notes if we need to update them with anything that's related to their client.
What's your hourly rate?
For the PSWs or for
No, what's your hourly rate that you're charging your clients right now?
We charge based on what they need, so $19 to $24 an hour.
Per hour?
Yes.
Okay. So how are you going to market to this audience? It's not like, you know, most of them are sort of on social media. Like, how are you going to reach them?
Well, that's why we want to go to the old age centers, because that's where a lot of our target markets are, and the OACs actually directly send out flyers to them every quarter, so 4 times every year. So we want to go with those OACs and see if we can get a return by advertising in their flyers, as well as going to the caregiver shows and the events where our target markets are going to be, or the case managers that we need to develop the relationships with to obtain more referrals.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Fit is a service that helps people with their personal fitness goals by providing information on healthy eating. Day-to-day meals are planned out with fresh ingredients. Please welcome to the floor, Madeline Pishori.
Hi, my name is Madeline. My company is named Flexible Integrated Tactics, or FIT for short, and we create a meal kit for advocating healthier lifestyles. I was in an art class one day and I was instructed to design a cereal box, or something that you would buy in a grocery store. And so I was in the middle of transitioning into a healthier lifestyle, and I decided I would draw something that I would want to buy. I realized that people would actually buy this, and I think that it's something that people would like to have to help them. So I just decided to run with it, and yeah. Hi, my name is Madeline of Flexible Integrated Tactics. Our research concludes that consumers actually want to be living a healthier lifestyle. The problem is that obesity rates are increasing just as steadily as the growing health concerns. We need a different approach that has not yet been saturated by the competition. The most important and confusing aspect to a healthier lifestyle is navigating the grocery store, and this is where we begin with our product, Intake. Intake is a personal assistant branded multi-meal kit that contains dry food, recipes, digital guidance, and a fresh ingredient grocery list that is going to make meal planning, meal execution, and third-party shopping easier for the consumer. Our #1 goal is positive consumer experience, so we can build good relationships with our customers. The retailer is actually going to benefit from the sale of Intake because we encourage the sale of other products within the retailer that have high margins for the grocery stores. The operations are very simple to execute and mass produce and replicate in different regions. Our revenue for the predictions for the first year is 5,000 units in the GTA with $75,000 revenue. Year 2 is 20,000 units in Ontario with $200,000 revenue, and year 3 is 40,000 units in national city centers with $400,000 revenue. Our goal is to bring wellness to the masses. Our top priority is improving the health and wellness of our community by using honest strategies that adapt traditional tactics to modern living with the aid of digital guidance. So, would you like to help me change lives?
Thank you. Great presentation.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
Really, you identified a lot of really important points there that I had some questions about. But my key thing for you is this is a one-day kit, is that correct?
Yes.
If I were to help fund you, would you create a one-week kit? Because I think the weakness for you right now in your product is I'm not gonna want to buy something just for one day.
Yes.
If I go to the grocery store, I want to buy a week's worth of groceries, but I'm not going to want to buy 5 or 6 of those for $15 or $20 plus all the extra groceries I need to buy. So how would you solve that problem in the near term?
Yes, that's a really good point. So intake is actually the perfect first step towards our company. So they will go in, they'll experience the intake experience for the first day, and then that's going to motivate them to continue their journey on with our company that is more digital based. And there will be more products along the line, but this is the perfect first step. They buy this once and then continue with the other resources that we have for them. And we will expand into different versions for college students or seniors or people with families as we progress with the company.
But how quickly can you do that? Because once you've hooked the people and then they decide they don't want to buy just the one-day product anymore, how are you going to solve that problem in the near term?
So what we're planning to do is develop this product, get it out into the retailers, see how it works with the customers, how they resonate with the brand, and then use that as feedback to develop the full app.
Okay, thank you.
So how much are you seeking and what would you use the money for?
Right now I'm seeking $8,000. I'm going to be using that to produce the product, all the raw materials, marketing, logistics, as well as incorporation and food handling certificates, and a little bit of marketing materials as well.
How are you going to get into the who's your target? Is grocery stores or
Yeah.
small?
Right now, we're just targeting grocery stores because it adds the convenience factor when the consumer's already entering the store to purchase their groceries. Here it is, the perfect thing you need to buy for your healthy day. Right now, we're targeting Longo's because they are a higher-end retailer. We've actually already had conversations with a representative at Longo's head office. He was very interested in the product and was looking to seek something to put into the stores.
So this is a huge industry. One of the businesses that I co-founded in the Middle East is a lifestyle corporate online platform for providing meal plans, etc. So, and we deal with all sorts of providers and vendors that provide us with supplements and products like these. Why you, not others? Like, what do you see about this specific kit and your business? Sometimes not the product, sometimes the team behind it. Why you versus the others?
So the competition in general is quite vast, but it can be put into one of three categories. The first is actually good products that have that will help you along the line, like nutritional supplements or a fitness tracker. But they are single solution products. They're not going to get you all the way to the healthier lifestyle just on their own. You need a well-rounded approach, and that's what we provide with them. So the digital guidance provides all the extra information, and we focus on the main aspects of meal planning and intake. And then there's also products that are that well-rounded approach, but they don't allow the consumers to self-motivate. They're kind of saying you need this professional or you need a support group to get you to this healthier lifestyle. But really, all you need is yourself and a little bit of research and planning, which we have done for them. And then lastly are products that just aren't effective, like diet pills or something. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of the well-rounded approach that's self-motivating and rooted in positive thinking.
So how are you going to produce enough of these units? Is there just the one of you right now? And how are you going to put enough of these together to get them, say, into 5 grocery stores across Toronto to start?
So right now what we want to do with the money is to just produce a pilot run of 100 units that I can personally create myself. And from there, we are going to take the feedback from the consumers and try to buy a warehouse as our next step. And then from there, we want to get it mass produced so we can just start getting units out. Very, very simple product to create, and that's our plan.
Okay, I think we're done, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Headquarters Cooperative is a Toronto-based company that houses live performances. Unlike other big-name venues, they're able to pay off their performers. Please welcome onto the floor Jordan and Julian.
My name is Jordan. I'm Julian, and we're the Headquarters Cooperative. We're a grassroots, not-for-profit organization that's putting on live events, live music events in downtown Toronto. And we basically came up with the decision to start this business from our own personal experiences playing gigs in the scene and just noticing what it is musicians need and realizing that we're pretty well suited to give that to them. The simple fact that we're a non-profit allows us to have a lower overhead and put more of the money that we generate back into the music scene and pay bands better than all of our competition.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name is Jordan, and this is Julian. And right now, Toronto's live music scene is facing a problem. Essentially, bands are underpaid and underserved. That's why we started the Headquarters Cooperative to remedy this issue. We're a grassroots not-for-profit organization that is dedicated to providing fair wages to musicians and artists and stimulating growth in Toronto's live music scene. We've been operating for the past 6 years, running events with local and touring bands. In the past year, we were awarded Humber's new Venture Seed grant and generated $28,000 worth of revenue for the live entertainment sector in Toronto.
Headquarters pays bands 25 to 50% more than the current average take-home. We also provide high-quality lighting and sound, a fully staffed merch table, social media support, and promotional efforts that far exceed our competition. We've built a community of dedicated members of the local music scene through which we source countless hours of volunteer work. Our main source of revenue is the 20 to 25% of ticket sales that we take from our events. Secondary sources include the sale of branded merchandise, sponsorships, and fundraiser events.
Yeah, so our projected earnings for this coming year, we're projecting that we can generate $45,000 worth of revenue for the entertainment sector in Toronto. But with funding from HumberLaunch, we feel we can double this number. We're asking for $15,000 to put towards networking, advertising, a comprehensive online presence, and the further enhancement of our live events. Thank you.
So if I'm a young band, why would I come to you?
Essentially, we're able to pay bands more than our competition, which are other local show promoters in the city. Usually bands will see an undetermined cut of the door. Door sales, ticket sales are where the money comes from there. So usually they don't know what percentage their take home is going to be, and they're usually seeing between $50 to $100, sometimes up to $150 per show. Whereas if they play a show with us, we pay them far more than that, are totally transparent about how much money they get to see, and they're seeing numbers closer to $300 and $400 per event.
Now the question I have is, the bands in a lot of cases will have their own fan base, which they bring to these shows. Are you being able to have promotion to bring people that wouldn't know these bands?
Of course.
In the beginning, we're still relying on the draw of the bands, which is why we're trying to provide more support to them, both on and offline, whereas a majority of other promoters are failing at that right now. As the business develops and as we establish ourselves as curators in the scene, we are hoping to develop our own following and our own group of people that come out to the shows as well.
So why have you chosen to go as a nonprofit? Why a grassroots organization? I mean, you've identified a need, so why do you feel like you shouldn't be a for-profit enterprise?
Essentially, the nature of this business is that we're trying to give as much as possible back to the music community. This is a passion project for us. This is something we've been doing for 6 years already. So like, we're not necessarily doing this for profit to ourselves. We're doing this for the sake of being able to generate as much money and put it back into the hands of musicians in the city. It's hard enough to make a living as a musician these days as it is.
So how are you guys going to make money personally? How are you going to make this something that's sustainable where, you know, as soon as you get a regular job, for example, you're not just going to walk away from it?
Well, right now, each of the main headquarters members who are part of this board of directors that operates the business, there's 5 of us. We put in 10 hours a week each to run the business. We're working on a volunteer basis for the first couple of years. Now, as we are able to run shows at a higher attendance and at a larger frequency, we're going to be able to have enough turnover that we'll be able to pay ourselves an hourly wage for that work. We also stand to benefit from connections made through running this business, as we're all musicians ourselves. So this is all something that we're totally willing to do for years into the future, and take, you know, a small cut for wages.
So you said you were working with a promoter in your earlier pitch that I saw, the paperwork that you guys had handed out at the beginning. So how does that relationship work? How does the promoter benefit from this? And how do you maintain your ability to make money for everybody?
Essentially, the deal we have, you're talking about Dan Brick at
Yes.
the Silver Dollar Room. So our deal with him is he takes bar points, and that's his general revenue stream for his, as an employee of the Silver Dollar Room. So he makes money from a percentage of the bar sales. What he offers to us is his clout as a promoter. He brings in touring bands from across Canada and the United States through the Silver Dollar Room, and he offers us those events. So we get to expose local talent to those connections, as well as allowing, bringing in money through the attendance that is brought out by those bands. So essentially, that's the deal. He's happy because he's making his bar points, and we're happy because we get to do what our mission says we're going to do.
And how do you bust out of Toronto?
Well, for starters, right now in the imminent future, we're just looking to get to venues of around 200 to 300 people capacities. As we grow our following, we're really hoping to branch to nearby places like Montreal or Halifax, and we need to do that when we scale the business. We need a little bit more overhead to make the initial leap out of Toronto, and then we'll be able to plant ourselves in a new location.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think it went pretty well, actually. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty calm and confident, other than my last pitching event where I stumbled a heck of a lot. I think it went very well. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm pretty confident. There was no flubs. It went pretty smoothly. and I seemed to answer their questions as they wanted.
Definitely would be lying if I say the adrenaline wasn't pumping and the nerves were flowing. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with the presentation, and I'm excited to see the results.
I think that went pretty well. I was a little nervous. I think you could tell a little bit of a pause in there, but overall, I think the judges asked questions. I was pretty prepared for them, so I would say I'm happy with the performance I gave.
So I'll have to admit it was rather nerve-wracking at the beginning, but eventually when the judges started asking questions, it felt more comfortable.
I only answered part of the last question and then forgotten what he had asked, so I had to ask him what he had asked, and he said, no, that's okay, I got enough. So I'm not sure if that hurt me or if he was okay with the answer.
Great learning experience. It's going to prepare me for any opportunities that might come my way in the future. It also helps me prepare myself for potential questions that investors will ask. So that insight was really valuable, and that's something that I'll definitely take away from this experience.
As young entrepreneurs, it's really important for us to get any source of contact with anyone in the business. So LaunchPad, as of right now, has done that for us as a great channel for us to expand our business knowledge and to make sure that we are putting our resources in the right places so we can have a more successful launch.
This whole experience has been great. I've been able to clearly articulate my vision for my business and just met a lot of great people along the way. I'm really grateful.
We've hit the conclusion of our show, which means it's time to give away the big checks. We're nervous? Excited? How are we? Doing good? All right. Our first winner for $2,000, The Collectors, Inc. Congratulations. Our second winner with $2,000, possibly with Dynamite. Congrats on the win. Our next winner with $2,000, Loving Support Services. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks a lot.
Our next winner with $3,000, Headquarters Cooperative. Nice win, gentlemen.
Thank you.
For $4,000, the winner, DSIC Music. Congratulations. For $5,000, the winner, Gig. Congratulations on the win. Here we go. I've got two checks with me. One is for $10,000. The other, our grand prize of $12,000. The winner for $12,000, even my palms are sweating. Look at this. The winner is Flexible Integrated Tactics. Congratulations for $10,000. Rent for Students, come on up. Congratulations on the big win, guys. And with that, we will end our show right here. I'd like to thank the judges for coming out today. I'd like to thank the contestants for participating. And I'd like to thank you for watching at home. For all of us here at Humber, I'm Nick Cirillo. Thanks for watching. Good night.